If he looks like a Viking and his name sounds like a Viking, perhaps he can get into the end zone like one too. Does NC State football have a potential X factor in Oregon tight end Vander Ploog?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoff has now come and gone, but the NFL playoffs are coming up yet again this weekend. FanDuel is the best place to get in on this action for the remainder of the playoff season. So visit FanDuel.com and get your NFL playoff bets in before kickoff this coming weekend, only on FanDuel. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, on the Tuesday show, I wanted to save this segment for today because I think it deserves a little bit more burn. Don't know if we discussed enough about Oregon tight end Vander Ploog, who announced his commitment to NC State through the transfer portal, a former top 10, top 15 tight end in the most recent recruiting class for 2025. He was a redshirt freshman this past year with the Ducks. And I think we might already be looking at a game changer for the Wolfpack this coming fall in 2026. Now, I've come to find out that Vander Ploog has only played football for about 4 years. So he's still actively learning the sport, not just the position of tight end, but he's been a monster at doing so. I happened to come across his high school statistics, and take them for what you will, because if you look at the tape, it looks like a Godzilla amongst boys, not just a man. But in his first year of high school football, he caught 7 passes for 92 yards and 5 touchdowns. And the junior year, you see a drastic jump. And I think you could probably tell for Vander here, it's like, oh, this football thing, I might have a future in this. 61 catches, 1,047 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And then his senior year, he says, oh, no, I'm actually about this. 75 catches, 1,100 yards, 17 receiving touchdowns, also rushes 16 times for 123 yards and 3 more touchdowns. And on what I assume was a trick play, he attempted 1 pass and completed said pass for a 23-yard touchdown. This is a monster waiting for his chance to play at the collegiate level. Did not play for Oregon, and Oregon had a very talented tight end room. 6'6", 242 pounds. Gavin Locklear might have an X factor on his hands already.
What? NC State has an X factor in the tight end room? Do I have to scratch my eyes and ask?
Is it Groundhog Day already?
Exactly. Do I have to do one of these? Is Jay Sam back? Oh my! You know, this is great news, and obviously the young man is still figuring out the game and the intricacies and all that. And I'll tell you this much: like I said when I originally talked about him, regardless of what skill he does or does not have, with his frame and athleticism, you have a really great blank slate to start with, and from there you determine, you know, what he's going to be and all that. High school stats don't mean a ton to me, especially because a lot of these guys, when I watch their film, I'm like, no, there's no other athletes on that field. If we put Grayson on that field, he would look like.
I was just about to say, picture me trying to tackle a 6'6" tight end. It's not going to go
well. Yeah. But you know, Grayson, you're not giving yourself enough credit, because some of this tape that I've seen on some guys, I'm like, oh no, I know Grayson could probably rush for $125 against those kids. So, you know, the reality is I'm not really too concerned about the high school stats, or not too geeked up based on that. I'm just talking about the athleticism alone and the size and frame alone. You have a great space to work with. You have a great kind of template to say, okay, this is or is not this or that. He can or cannot be this or that based on that template. So ultimately, I think that he's going to be a great pickup for the Wolfpack. I think everything is going to be wonderful with him. But I really am excited to see him, you know, suit up for the red and white of NC State, because he while he didn't play last year, there's still enough there for me to say there's a spot for you somewhere. You know, there's certain guys that you find the spot somewhere. Okay. I played with a guy by the name of Pharaoh McKeever, We called him the freshman DeReaver. You know why? Because he played defensive end, he played wide receiver, he played tight end, he played a little bit of everything. Shout out to my boy Farrell. Love you. I know you're doing well wherever you are, man. And it was a situation where the frame and athleticism warranted. We'll figure it out. Same thing happens. I expect the same thing to happen with Vander.
It's interesting the way that Gavin Locklear ran the tight end room last year. You had 3 different guys that all had kind of specialized skills. Like Justin Jolie, for example, that was your pass catcher. He's going to spread the field for you. He's going to break tackles. He can do a little bit of everything. He got even better at run block from 24 into 25, just a complete tight end. Then you had Cody Hardy. That's your guy that's getting in the mud for. He's going to be heavily present in that run block and move people against their will to open up holes for guys like Duke Scott and Hollywood Smothers. And I think they had a great plan for what they wanted Cody Hardy to be, flat out executed, and he was a difference maker for us. Then you had Dante Daniels, which is kind of like a hybrid between Jolie and Hardy, and he had his own right. He could pass catch, he could get out in space, he could move people against their will, much like Hardy can. And I think for Vander Ploog here, I kind of am expecting him to be more of a Jolie type. And the body type is not quite the same. He's got like 3 inches on Jolie, and he's a little bit lighter, but probably faster and spread the field. Maybe he has a different type of route tree than JJ had. But I think Vander Ploog here, who knows what kind of surface you can only be scratching in 2026. Again, this is a kid that's still kind of learning the position, but he's a freak athlete. And you get him in the lab with Thunder and Locklear and Kurt Roper, I think you might have a prime candidate for an X Factor already when you're looking at the 2026 season. It's early, but my attention goes immediately to Mr. Vander Ploog here.
Yeah, and how could it not? How could it not? All the things that you could imagine a guy doing well with that frame. And, you talk about the dichotomy between him and Justin Jolie. Justin Jolie is a guy that's played for quite some time, so he's a little bit more well-versed in the ins and outs of, how to separate at the top of the route and all those things. But it helps when you got 3 extra inches to where you might not need to separate in the same kind of way and all that. So I'm excited. I think our tight end room will come back as another year of that potentially being a strength of this team, because both of our gets in the portal have been massive. And last time I checked, quick question, Grayson, where was Justin Jolie recruited out of high school to go here? Did he commit out of high school?
No.
What about Cody Hardy? Did he commit out of high school?
No.
What about Daniels?
No.
Swing and a miss, 0 for 3. So it seems to me that, well, actually, I guess it's the opposite of a swing and a miss. I guess we're making solid contact here, because again and again, when we go into the portal and get these tight ends, there's something we're doing in our evaluation of tight ends, in our development of tight ends, that these guys are leaving a lot better than they came. And we've had some guys come in pretty damn good.
And, of course, Vander Ploog will join Hunter Province, the other tight end from Montana State, who's an FCS national champion. And I kind of liken him to a Cody Hardy type build. I think he will be a run blocker, probably some pass block as well, and can certainly get out in space and pass catch for you as well. But, it kind of leads me into a different question here. And we've kind of poked and prodded in different angles. But the way that NC State has added specifically to their offense and the skill set positions, do you think that we might be looking for, kind of a similar roster construction this fall, in that the offense is going to have to do some of the heavy lifting?
Yes. I don't think that that's a hard question to debate right now. Don't get me wrong, I love Harvey, the edge out of Tulane. I think that he's going to be really good for us. I love this pickup out of Marshall in terms of, again, getting yourself a big fellow who can stop the run and all those things. I don't think that we have the depth defensively to where I feel comfortable saying, like, book it. This is going to be a top 20 to 30 defense in America. Yeah. I feel comfortable saying that about this offense. I feel very comfortable saying this should be a top 20, top 30 offense in America next year, because of all of the pieces that you got at all of these different skill positions and up front. And to me, that's the biggest place. To me, more than anything else, yes, the back end and the defensive backs, you can get help, you can get a lot better there. But the big fellas, especially defensively, is where it all gets going. I mean, if you don't believe me, look at what Miami just did. Yeah. Look at what Miami did. They weren't known as being a team where you're like, oh, their corners and safeties, indefatigable. There's nothing you can do against those guys. It was Bain and Mesidor wreaking havoc. Play in, play out, play in, play out, play in, play out. And then you had to focus so much effort on them, the guys on the inside would get loose and get jiggy. So ultimately, we just saw evidence that if you have elite pass rushers and elite edge guys, anything is possible. The sky's the limit. We don't have that. We don't have a full. First of all, let me make this clear. I'm not trying to disrespect the Wolfpack's edge rushers. Bain is going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Mesidor probably going to be back into the first round, maybe second round. He's going to go early as well. What I am saying is we don't have that level of top-end talent, nor do we have a lot of depth to say, like, hey, we've got 4 guys that I expect all 4 of these guys to have at least 3 to 4 sacks next year in terms of defensive end. So, we're going to need to score a lot offensively because I just don't think that we have the personnel to, play that old school, that old time Wolfpack religion where it's like, hey, we may not know what the forward pass is, but may I introduce you to one Mario Williams?
Yeah, and to reiterate, there will be more additions probably on the defensive side of the ball as, more time passed. But I think based on who we have acquired from the portal and the sequence in which some of these players have come in, I see a lot more emphasis on kind of replenishing what you had on offense than kind of trying to retool the defense. So, again, we'll see where this goes, but I feel pretty solid about – I don't know if you can say you, replaced the talent that you lost on the offense because, Hollywood Smothers, Noah Rogers, Justin Jolie, can't really replace them. But I feel good about what we have now from the portal on offense. And I think C.J. Bailey, he could be cooking again this fall in 2026. Coming up next, we're going to switch on to the hard court. I want to pose an interesting question that I think might get some eye rolls from some folks. But after a ranked road win against Clemson, is the reckoning back on? More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Wednesday sponsor is FanDuel. The NFL Conference Championship weekend is coming up, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action. FanDuel users will get a profit boost waiting for them inside the app. And here's what you'll love about it. You can ride with the favorite even when you think a team will control the matchup, or you can take a shot on the underdog if you feel particular upset coming. You can also build a parlay around the top players and moments that you think will decide the games. All you have to do is apply the profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly. Perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff season long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your NFL playoff profit boost every single game day. Only on FanDuel. Middle portion of our Wednesday show, switching back onto the hard court for NC State men's basketball. I am still fired up about an overtime win on the road over the Clemson Tigers, a Q1 win, a ranked win on the road, the first of both for Will Wade at NC State. And the vibes right now, they're feeling high. And the thing about this team that has been kind of helter-skelter is you get high and then you fall. And then you get high and then you fall. And then you get high and then you fall again. And we talked about this on the postgame live. How do you maintain a level plane, so to speak? Your next 6 games, I see 5 to 6 extremely winnable games. And if you're able to get 5 to 6 of those, you are in an excellent position, not just in the ACC standings, but your tournament resume as well before you get into the heavy hitters of that schedule. So feeling really good about this win. And I don't think you can really give Coach Wade and the players enough credit for fighting in this game. And they had a couple moments there late in that second half where it looked like the thing might slip away from us. And what a deflating loss that would have been, especially coming off the heels of that home loss to Georgia Tech. But they found a way to get it done. And, something that hasn't really been consistent about this team is finding a way to get it done in the end. And so to get that done on the road in a ranked environment, probably one of the tougher games that you've played up until this point of the season, Kenton, that's a really good feeling as you kind of look down the barrel of some winnable games here in the next couple weeks.
Grayson, Miami was undefeated in conference until last night. Do you know the buzzsaw that they ran into?
They ran into the very same Florida State Seminoles that we beat by 44 points. This
is the deepest the ACC has been in quite some time. This is a really good ACC. Everybody said, "Oh, those teams out west can't hoop." Stanford said, "Come again." SMU said, "Hey, we may not play no defense, but we gonna score. We don't shuffle no puppies, but on offense, get it out the net." Okay. And so ultimately, if you are looking at a scenario where that effort, that intensity, that lock-in is there, and this team does win 5 of the next 6 or even goes undefeated in the next 6, you're at that point looking at an 18 or 19 and 6 team with a quad one win and who is balling and trending in the right direction in what is at worst objectively the maybe third best conference in all of college basketball, and that's being very aggressive. That's being very aggressive, saying that the ACC is the third best. So, I will say that even I at times faltered in saying, like, you know what? It does not look like Will Wade is going to get the goals that he previously stated and all that stuff. And even now, I'm not saying that I'm definitively in the camp of we're on the trajectory to get him, because we're still not. We're still not, because of the up and down nature of how this thing is going. Listen, save all that for the fair and for Six Flags and Busch Gardens. We don't need all up and down. We don't. If we wanted to see that, we would go pay for it. But we want to see a consistent product that gets better and better and better every single night out there. But I will say the question of, is the reckoning back on? I mean, I wouldn't say it was ever off. I would say all of us had doubts, and rightfully so. I don't think that anybody's wrong to say, hey, your whole thing was no bad losses so far this year. You just had a terrible one. I'm not so sure about this thing anymore. That's a logical conclusion. The best predictor of future behaviors and action, the best predictor of future behaviors is the past. And this team's past has shown up, down, we're good, we're bad, we're all around, we will not win the big games. And then you throw in the monkey wrench of a loss in a bad game. That's, so I wouldn't say I'm writing this team off. I wouldn't say we're back. We're 3 seed in the ACC tournament, and we're going to be solidly in the tourney. There's a lot of work left to do. Yeah. The reason I said that the ACC is so deep is there's a lot of work left to do. Grayson said they're easily winnable. They're also easily losable. Looking at these next 5, I don't see a single team where I'm like, oh, that team doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell against us. For as much as you talk about how bad Pitt is Pitt definitively worse than Georgia Tech? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that they're a much worse team than Georgia Tech. And you just lost to them. So ultimately, you've got to keep showing up. The reckoning may look like it's back on, but now we got to go show and prove.
In fact, Pitt has already beaten Georgia Tech by 23 points. So anything can happen in the ACC, as we've kind of found out so far this season. But yeah, for NC State, I think it's interesting you bring up the goals that Will Wade had mentioned. And, shout out to Lupus Beowulf on Twitter. I saw Lupus talk about this as well. When you look at what Will Wade projected for this season, that was a top 4 finish in the ACC in getting to the dance. As it currently stands right now, and right now is not what matters. What matters is at the end of the season, getting across that finish line. But right now, NC State is tied for 4th atop the ACC conference. So you're kind of in the mix still, right to where you want to be playing for. When you look at the bracketology, again, right now, doesn't really matter. But when you get into the things, the heat of February, when it comes to Selection Sunday, that's where you want to be in. As it stands right now, NC State is in the tournament as like a 9 or a 10 seed, wherever site you're looking. And so my point being, the answer to my own question that I wanted to pose here, the reckoning was never off. It just looked a little different. It felt a little different. It took a little longer to get off the ground, but we're seeing these flashes, even though it is inconsistent, of what this team can be. If they are to put it all together for 40-minute games consistently, yeah. I think they can exactly get to where they're trying to go, which is top 4 and in March Madness. They can get there. And I think the schedule could even help them out because they have some massive resume boosters coming up later on down the pipeline. So when you're looking at Pitt this coming weekend, Pitt is currently tied for dead last in the ACC, and they just had another tough loss to Boston College on Wednesday. So that's a game that is a must-win, and it's also probably a can't-lose for NC State. So go about your business and get that thing done. And then, of course, after Pitt, you welcome Syracuse back in the Lenovo Center. Syracuse is kind of helter-skelter this year. You go on the road and play a Wake Forest team that you've already beaten. They're scuffling right now. You got to go on the road to SMU. I think that's a really tough game, but it's a game that you can go get. And then, of course, you play Virginia Tech before you get into the heavy hitters. Like I said, a 5 to 6 game stretch here where you feel like you have to go get probably 5 or all 6 of these games. It's on the table for you. And so who does this team want to be? How bought in can you get them to be at this point of the season? Hopefully it's even more. And I think a ranked road win like that one, there's a certain bond that you build with your team, in the trenches, in the battlefield? What does it take to win in crunch time? Can you make winning basketball plays? On Tuesday night, they did enough. Can that be contagious enough to carry you into a game on the road at Pitt or on the road at Wake Forest or on the road at SMU? We'll have to find out, but I'm liking more and more and more, despite some of the inconsistencies. I'm feeling a little bit more of a plateau that's coming. And I think when you look into all the metrics that can be a hot topic, I prefer KenPom. That's old reliable for me. NC State is currently 27th in the country in KenPom. That is number 4 in the ACC. So even the metrics are starting to like more and more from what they're seeing out of NC State. I think we're finally starting to get somewhere if you can stay locked in, if you can stay bought in, build brick by brick every game day, every practice, every day in between. If you can stay focused there, I think we're right on the precipice of really starting to kick off what a reckoning should look like.
I absolutely agree. This is about who you are as a team over these next few games. There are very few teams over these next few games that are on paper as talented as you are, but there's not a single team that's going to come in and roll over. There's not a single team that you can go ahead and say, oh, yep, that's a scheduled win already. Boston College was supposed to be the scheduled win team, and they're on a winning streak of sorts, beating Syracuse and Pitt. What? This is what 2026 is. This is multiple teams being good. This is the bottom feeders being like, you know what? We'll steal one from you. You go to sleep, you snooze, we'll steal one from you, like Stoudemire's crew did in the Lenny. We'll take one up off you if you don't want it. Hey, I'll gladly take it if you don't want it. So ultimately, this is a really, really this is a situation where, again, lock in, be your best selves, show that effort, and let everything else fall where it may, and you can walk out of this next 5-6 game stretch feeling excellent about your resume. But if not, just as soon as everybody was back on the bandwagon, we are all going to be holding our hands in our faces saying the law of the wolf prevails again, which we hope is not the case.
Speaking of law of the wolf, and I meant to already mention this, but did you see what Brad Brownell said in the post game last night after we beat Clemson?
What did he say?
He said he noticed Clemson in the shoot around. They looked a little distracted. Like he could feel that something was not quite there. And then this man proceeded to say, yeah, it was a class day for us. We had classes. And I think, it kind of gives an advantage to a road team. We kind of play better on the weekends when there's not class. Hear me out when I tell you this. I think you're on the front porch of a reckoning when the opposing coach is blaming his players going to class as being a distraction for their team. He didn't know what to blame that loss on. So this man blamed student athletes going to class. Will Wade and NC State will take it. They'll probably laugh at you a little bit, and they'll continue to fuel this fire. I think the reckoning was never off, and I think it's about to get a whole lot louder these next couple weeks. We'll see. Work to be done, but I'm liking what I'm seeing right now. Coming up next, we're going to round out our Wednesday show with a whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Wednesday show. Now time for a whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something. 3 topics. We'll tell you exactly where we stand on them. First one here is a stat that I tweeted out on Wednesday. True road victories over ranked opponents in the last 20 years for the NC State Wolfpack. Sidney Lowe actually had a typo in that tweet. He had not one, he had 2 of those in 5 seasons. 2 true road victories over ranked opponents. Mark Godfrey technically had 3, but he also kind of had 4. The 4th was the Dennis Smith Jr. game in Durham, which got wiped out by the NCAA. But the internet and pictures live forever. That windmill dunk, it happened. So if you want to count it, that's fine. But I technically only gave him 3 in 6 seasons. Kevin Keats had 2 in 8 seasons. And in just 19 games, Kenton, Will Wade has his first. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something. Will Wade got this fan base excited for moments like this. Will Wade got this fan base believing that moments like this are possible for this team. This is what we need to see. And in the words of Kane superfan and alum Michael Irvin, we want more. We need more.
and that's about winning and not skiing. I think Will Wade is going to tie both Kevin Keats and Sidney Lowe at 2 by the time this regular season is over. I think he's going to pick up another one before March Madness, before it gets here. So, again, really big deal. And ranked wins on the road is something that's not come very easily, really, for anyone these days, but especially NC State in, around the last 20 years. So cherish that win for what it is. It's a monumental win for everything I just said, and especially for momentum. Whole lot of something. Second one here, we're, creeping even deeper into the ACC schedule. NC State as a team is still shooting 40% from downtown, and they have 4 different players shooting 40% individually. You have Darian Williams at 40.4, Quadir Copeland at 48.8. That continues to blow my mind. A career best, a lifelong best for Quadir Copeland. The improvements he's made have been spectacular. Paul McNeil at 41.1, Trey Holloman at 40.6. Then you have a couple guys right under that. You have Arsenault at 38.5. You have Vinal Lubin at 37.5. Please don't take any more. Matt Abel is at 37 flat. Allen Breed is also at 37. A great three-point shooting team. You kind of scratch your head on how we get kind of stuck in the mud offensively. I say all that to say we're getting it done from beyond the perimeter. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something. And Grayson, the two things go hand in hand. Most great shooting teams have moments where they fall a little too in love with you.
Everyone does, yeah.
Right. It's like a boxer with a really great jab. He tries to use that thing as a measuring stick to control distance 24/7. And sometimes he gets a little lazy and leaves himself open to, somebody that's, oh, okay, wait a minute, let me do a little weave. And now I'm in your body. It's the same thing here, right? We see it with basketball teams all the time, live by the 3, die by the 3. But with that being said, this is the best shooting team I've seen at NC State in quite some time. And I don't think I've seen a better shooting team top to bottom at NC State since I was walking the halls. And since I was walking the halls, I mean that's when I started paying attention to Wolfpack basketball, and I have not seen a better three-point shooting team. So, it's a whole lot of something that this team – we talked about what do they specialize in and what are they known for as, questions. And even then, I said, you know what? We are a pretty good three-point shooting team. That is something we do pretty well, and it continues to bear itself out.
Possibly since the Injun Atzer, Elin Evdamov type days. We have so many different weapons that can light it up from downtown that, that's why you have some of these games where you're setting records, not just for the program, but in ACC play. Again, I just go back to more consistency. Some of these times where we kind of do dribble the ball through a hole in the floor, or we can't find a way to stop turning the ball over, can't find a way to get a quality shot off. When they find the consistency, when it comes and when it clicks, we're going to reach a whole nother level of what this reckoning can truly be. So for right now, it has been a whole lot of something. Last one here, it's not directly NC State related, but perhaps it will be in the long run. We spoke last week about Darian Mensah versus Duke / versus Miami. Duke might just be up 1-0 in this series. They issued a temporary restraining order that allows Mensah to enter the portal, but he cannot enroll anywhere else, he cannot play anywhere else, and he cannot license his NIL at any other school. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something. I told everybody this case will set multiple precedences that will hold up for quite some time.
It's going to change a lot, yeah.
And this is, this case, along with some others, is why Jackson Holzer and I, for those of you who don't watch Locked On ACC, please do, because during the squad, there was a very interesting back and forth between he and I about the potential of how high the money could get and how soon it could get there. And one of the things I said was we're seeing multiple court cases that are going to quickly put a stop to this. And I know of some very high-profile players making very big money that I know sources extremely close to the situation that said, everybody's looking up like, hey, why didn't that player leave his school with everything on? And it was lawyers sat down and said, hey, get your best lawyer and have them come to the table, and we'll tell you what this thing says, which your lawyer will agree to. And that's what happened. It was literally like, hey, this thing is ironclad. You signed it. You're stuck. Do your dance the best you can, but you're going to be right here sitting. So ultimately, I do see this as a whole lot of something, because I do think that this is going to shift some of that power and some of how things have been moving in terms of the players just wantonly doing whatever they want to do. It's going to shake that up. It's going to make that more difficult. And again, I am all for calling out player exploitation. it's hard for me to say you're being exploited if you're making $4 million. If that's exploitation, give me a little bit of that. Give me a little bit. I tore up all of my tendons without making $4 million. So come on, give me a little something on the back end for it.
On one hand, I do think it's kind of funny that Duke has essentially just frozen him in the portal. He can't sign anywhere or do anything. But I think Duke at this point, the bridge has been burned between Duke and Darian Minson. I don't think he's going to go back to Duke because I don't know how you can welcome that back in the locker room at this point. However, Duke is going to do everything they can to make a lesson out of him. And I think that's where Kenton's point about, the long-term ramifications of a court case like this one, potentially NC State players later on down the road, they're going to look at this and remember something like this and say, I need to be a lot more intentional about when I'm signing my name on something and honor that commitment, or don't put myself in a situation where the lawyers are going to have to get involved later. And I think this case, like Kenton said, it's going to change a lot in the landscape of college sports because Duke is probably going to get a whole lot of money back from Darian Mensah, I'd imagine. Well, maybe not back, but out of this situation, whether it's Miami paying it or Mensah paying it back, Duke's going to get a lot of money in damages, so to speak. And like I said, they're going to have the quote-unquote win in this situation because, I think Duke is in the right of how this went down at the 11th hour. But this is going to continue to get worse before it gets better. I'll put it to you that way. And so I think you're looking at the landscape of how NIL and the transfer portal is changing in real time. So I encourage you, even though it's not NC State related, keep eyeballs on how this does play out because maybe NC State will have some similar situations in the future. Hopefully not, because lessons should be learned from one like this one. But craziness. I think that bridge is most certainly burned, whether he goes to Miami or whatever else happens from there on out. That will do it for us here on Wednesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you back here tomorrow on Thursday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.